T-Bone and Heather on Star 98.3 and 97.7 The Bay.
Hello, my friends.
Good morning, everybody.
And joining us on the phone lines this morning, we have Delegate Mark Fisher. Hey, Mark, how you doing, bud?
I'm great. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for making a few minutes to chat with us today. I appreciate it. I saw your speech that was posted online. Well, I don't know,
last Monday.
Last week, I guess it was. And I was like, boy, Mark is hitting some points here. It's interesting. The premise of your speech was like, hey, what are we doing? There's real issues at hand, and we're not looking at them.
What are the constituents there in Calvert County? What is most pressing for them when you talk to them, Mark?
They are really concerned. Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. They're really concerned with property taxes. They're really concerned with car registration fees that require you to make a payment plan to be able to afford them. They're concerned about electricity prices. Mm-hmm. And electricity prices are clearly driven by Annapolis.
Right.
And so you would think this legislative session in 2026, the first thing that we would do is to pass a series of bills that would have a meaningful effect on lowering electricity bills, but that has not happened.
No. What is the focus of Annapolis right now?
It's to rig elections by gerrymandering, of course, Congressman Andy Harris out of a seat. And, of course, Wes Moore says he has to save democracy, so in order to save it, according to Wes Moore, you need to destroy the other party by making sure that 1 million Marylanders don't have a voice in Congress.
Yeah. It's always funny
the second thing is, go ahead, sorry.
It's always funny how the lifeline they throw to democracy is to erase all differing ideas.
Exactly. Yes, they want diversity. They just don't want diversity of thought.
Right. Exactly.
That's not allowed.
Yeah, that's not allowed. Right.
So they're talking about these new maps going on. For the gerrymandering that is happening. Is there any hope at all, Mark, to see anything for like what is foremost in their minds, like electricity, like the registration for cars? Is there anything on the docket at all that will speak to those issues going on right now?
So the Democrats and Governor Moore claim they have a, quote, package of bills that they have put into the system of the 2026 legislature that will be debated that will do just that. Now, I can tell you that what their bills are always about, they're about paying off their donors who are in the solar and wind business.
Okay.
And that does not lower bills. And look, I'm a critical thinker. Excuse me. So I'd like to say this to your listeners. If you put, solar on your house, that's up to you, right? But it costs a lot of money to do that. But that's not what they want. The Democrats want there to be farms covered with solar panels. And let me ask you a question. Did that generate electricity when they were covered with ice and snow, which they still are, by the way?
Yeah.
Right.
And, it's one of those things where it's like, I saw one of the guys, I don't know who he is, and I don't even know where he's from, but he was like, if we don't vote for this redistricting and whatever they're calling it, I'm going out in protest, and he wandered out of the area. What the hell is going on? Well, let's talk about this gerrymandering a little bit.
Sure.
For most of us who don't spend our day sitting around looking at voting maps, what are they trying to do?
Sure. So a lot of people don't understand the complexity of gerrymandering, but I can just really make it simple here because Maryland has an out-migration and has had that for the past year of more than 14,000 American citizens.
Yeah. And so last year we lost 14,000 Marylanders to other states.
Right, and those would be American citizens who happen to live in Maryland. And so the Democrat Party has realized that this is happening really in blue states, almost exclusively in blue states.
Right.
And it is accelerating. And as a consequence of that, they want to do two things. First is they want to gerrymander to eliminate voices in those blue states in Congress. And the second is they want to legalize to vote illegal aliens, including, by the way, illegal alien criminals. So they want them to stay here and give them the right to vote. And those were the first two bills in the 2026 legislative session.
And
literally to do that.
It's funny in Maryland, not funny haha, but funny peculiar, because in Maryland, as you well know, Mark, the Democratic Party seems like it couldn't possibly have a stronger hold on a state than it does on Maryland. But yet it's not enough. There might be a dark out there somewhere, a quiet little whisper of a voice somewhere that has a different idea, and they need to shut that down too.
They do. The interesting thing is, and a lot of listeners don't know this, is Maryland actually isn't as blue as people think. I mean, there are over 1 million Republicans. And
never hear from them.
True, and so many just stay home and don't vote because they are so just tired of, I guess, losing.
Yeah.
But if we had actual fair districting, we would actually probably have 3 Republicans in the United States Congress, and there would be 5 Democrats and potentially 1 purple seat. So we have 8 representatives.
Hey, Mark,
just to make sure everybody knows. So,
can I go back to something that you said, talking about getting illegal immigrants the ability to vote? Isn't that illegal in the Constitution? I mean, don't you have to be an American citizen or naturalized citizen to be allowed to vote in elections, whether it's state, whether it's school board, whether it's whatever? What is the legislation that they put forward to get illegal immigrants the ability to vote? Is that how it's spelled out in the bill?
So it's not, but you have to understand, and I know you guys do, but the listeners, I think, know this as well. In Maryland, we have the motor voter law, right? And you just go and you get a license, a driver's license, and you can just lie and say, well, yeah, I'm an American citizen.
Right, nobody checks.
No one checks. Also with welfare, same thing. You can also naturally register to vote. And Ian Roberts is a great example. Not only do we think he was voting in Maryland, he was registered in Maryland, but guys, look, he was also a principal in Baltimore City Public Schools.
Right,
and I think that really opened up a can of worms for Annapolis when people started checking on him and how he voted. And if people don't remember, this is the guy that was, I think he was here in Maryland for 10 years, right? And he voted. He was not a legal citizen, naturalized, or anything else. And he did vote. And I think that gave pause to a lot of people because people say it's not happening.
Oh, it's happening.
He's not the only one.
And he was a principal of a school.
Right. In
Right,
Maryland.
and the thing is we've asked Jared DeMarinis, he's the head of the State Board of Elections of the entire state of Maryland, and we said, hey, look, can you turn over the voting records so we can just vet them with ICE and find out how many people are on the voter rolls in Maryland who also are here illegally.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, of course, he will not turn that information over. Then we've asked Jared DeMarinis, well, do you support voter ID?
Okay.
Of course, he does not. I have known Jared DeMarinis for a long time. He has never, ever supported or testified on behalf of a voter ID bill, ever.
Well, when that voter ID comes up, that's one of the very rare things that crosses all lines, and it is supported by every demographic in America. The Democrats, minorities, like 80% say, oh, yeah, you should have an ID to vote. Absolutely, you have to have an ID to vote. And yet it never gets put through.
It doesn't, because they know that since they need the illegals to vote and would be voting illegally, of course, in the state of Maryland, we believe that they are in pretty large numbers.
Yeah, they are.
If they had voter ID, then that would eliminate that possibility. Look, we don't just not have voter ID, but we have this system in Maryland where you can have a mail-in ballot sent to you, and if you don't feel like filling it out, someone can stop by your house and pick it up and fill it out for you, provided that you allegedly sign an affidavit saying you gave them the authority to do that. Well, the state really doesn't check those affidavits. You want to know why? Because the person that picked it up from you, that filled it out for you, just puts it in a drop box. So the state doesn't know who actually cast the ballot and whether or not you harvested that ballot by going door to door. This is all by design. And Jared DeMarinis is the guy that has let this happen. He could, as the State Board of Elections head, he could get in front of committees and say, hey, look, this is wrong. It just encourages people to steal elections. It encourages people to do the wrong thing, but he won't do it.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate here, because you and T have both said that there are a lot of illegal immigrants that are voting in the state of Maryland. How do you know that? I mean, how do we know that? I mean, we can't even tell who's filling out the ballots. How do we know that? And when you say a lot, what are we talking? A couple thousand, 10,000? I mean, when you say a lot, I'd like to know what the number is. How do we find out?
I think that's a fair question. So when the Democrats say the same thing on the House floor, it's not happening, is what they say. And you can't prove that it's happening. Here's what we say to them. Then why don't we provide unidentifiable information to ICE? We just provide, the name and the address and so forth, and the social. The rest of the information is hidden, and it goes to ICE, and they vet it. And
Let me ask you.
Back to state. And of course, they won't do that.
Let me ask you this, Heather. And Mark, maybe I'm off the mark here, and if I am, please feel free to correct me. If they passed a law in Annapolis tomorrow that said no longer at bars and liquor stores can you ask for ID, do you think underage drinking would go up?
I think it probably would.
Well,
yes.
there you go. If nobody's checking, then why do you think there won't be abuse?
Hey, Mark, let me ask you that as I bypass that and move on to something else. What is positive? What do you see as something good that is coming down the pike for Calvert County, Southern Maryland? Don't even get me started on data centers, but I mean, what looks good in the thousands of bills that we're looking at?
So look, I have to be honest with the listeners.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
I have to be honest with the listeners. Southern Maryland is a beautiful place to live. I love living where I live. I do. And I believe that applies to all the citizens in Southern Maryland. And it's just beautiful. We have water everywhere. We just have beautiful landscape. We have farms, and it is a wonderful quality of life.
But
if only we could just leave the state of Maryland, everything would just be fine.
Yes, just carve it off.
Right.
We would be fine. So the Democrat Party is a broken party. They are a broken party. They know they are a broken party. Look, my colleagues in the Democrat Party, this is inside baseball, which is super helpful.
Yeah, that's the stuff we want.
They know things are messed up. And what's happened is they've promised their voters so many things that are unrealistic. They now realize it will never come to pass, but they are still promising those things just so they can get through the next election. And oh, by the way, right after the election, we have 5 years of massive budget deficits in Maryland. So Governor Wes Moore and the Democrat Party, they're going to continue to do what they're doing, which is to tax and spend. That's what they do. By the way, we are uncovering now, the Freedom Caucuses, we are now uncovering in the legislature tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. We think it's probably in the billions, but so far we're well into the tens of millions of monies that have been transferred to nonprofits in Maryland.
I knew you were going to say nonprofits.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been watching
And by the way,
that.
you guys will love this. Many of these nonprofits are run by or employ members of the legislature.
Oh, come on.
Of course
I've been paying attention to that whole thing going on about the nonprofits and the money being
Look at this.
spent.
I have one colleague, I'm not going to mention his name because we're still investigating it, but it has been confirmed.
Right.
It's even in his ethics report. He makes $230,000 a year running a nonprofit in Baltimore. And look, the way I was raised is if you want to stand up a nonprofit and you want to start one, you get donations from the private sector. The private sector gives you donations.
Right.
You don't get it from the public sector.
You might even come out of pocket.
You might even come out of pocket. And then one day, you solve the problem that you created the nonprofit to solve, and then you dissolve the nonprofit because they're not supposed to be permanent structures.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So, it's like, for example, why is the nonprofits that help people, with all different kinds of things, why are they still going on? Why do they continue to grow? So this is just one of the nonprofits. The mayor's wife, the mayor of Baltimore City, her nonprofit received, a few $100,000 and then just closed.
Oh my gosh.
Mark, I know you're fighting a good fight, and I know you're also tilting at windmills, and I don't know if you'll make any headway, but I appreciate you taking a couple minutes out and telling us what's going on up in Annapolis.
Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy,
Thanks,
take care.
Mark. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Mark Fisher, delegate from Calvert County. Yeah, well,
Nothing good. Not one thing happening that is positive.
listen, if you got nothing else out of that conversation, the takeaway is this, and this is not new. Annapolis is so corrupt, it is so rotten on the inside, and it is systemic rot. And that doesn't just go away just because somebody raises their hand and calls it out. It's there to stay.